Well, hello and welcome to episode of Twin Carbs. Now, it's been a while since I've done a video on the MG ZS EV, but I'm delighted to say that the car is now a year old. In fact, it's his birthday today, so I thought I'd take it for a spin. And in contrast to the sort of range testing that I did back in June, I thought I'd do a little run in the winter just to compare range and do a recap really on how MG ZS EV ownership has been for the past year. So here we are, we're about to set off. I'm heading to Glasgow today, so reasonably short trip. And let's see how it goes in terms of how much mileage we're likely to get, etc. Now, on the dash here, it's telling me, thank you, I've not got a seatbelt in, regen braking is limited, please use the brakes. That means that I'm at full battery capacity. I've had the car exactly a year now, and 9,559 miles, which ain't too bad. Slightly, or quite a good bit less than I would normally do, but you know, with COVID and lockdowns and various other reasons, and I do have other cars that I drive as well. But 10,000 miles in a year is about average, pretty good. Checking the accumulated total, it tells me I'm getting 2.6 miles per kilowatt at the moment, and that the anticipated range at the moment is 141 miles. Now, if I turn off the heating and all the rest of it, it tells me I've got 156 miles. So just by turning on the heaters, I'm losing 10% straight away. Now it's a GOM, it's a guessometer, so it's not entirely accurate. But 156 miles, temperature's about 8 degrees today. It's reasonably clear, a bit overcast in the west, so we'll see how that goes. But I think we'll turn the blowers back on, we'll get it in gear, and we'll get down the road. One thing I wanted to check is the battery voltage, sitting bang on 455 volts, which for the revision of software I have on the battery management system is absolutely correct. So here we go. So here we are out in the ZS EV. Has it been a good car? Actually, it's been a fantastic car. I've been really impressed with it. If you've seen any of my videos before, you'll know that I use this as my daily driver for work, which is normally round about Scotland, across the Central Belt, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Dundee, Ayrshire, that kind of thing. So I generally manage to keep it within the 150 mile range, and that works well enough for me. Now, talking to range, when I started up today, I had the full battery, 455 volts. That gave me an advertised range of about 154 or something like that. As soon as I put the heating on, it dropped by 10%, so down about 140. And a couple of miles down the road now. Let me just check that. 4 miles down the road, and I'm now showing 135 miles. Miles per kilowatt hour is being displayed as 2.9, and the average miles per kilowatt hour is 2.6. So quite different figures there from what we were seeing in the summer, where we're achieving sort of 3.6, sometimes 3.9 miles per kilowatt. and that has that's mainly to do with the temperature. The change in temperature from summer into winter has quite an impact on range due to the function of the batteries, the battery management system and things. Possibly the fact that you need the heating on a bit higher, etc, etc. However, I don't see that as an issue or a problem. It's just you might need to charge it, not necessarily more often, but it might be on the charger for half an hour longer than it normally would when you charge at home, or 5 or 10 minutes longer if you're charging from a rapid. So it's really getting in the mindset of regularly charging the car and making sure you've got enough range to do whatever it is you need to do on a particular day. So I've also, because the car's a year old, had to have the car serviced. Now the good news about the car service was, compared to my previous cars, which servicing costs range from £700 a service to £1,500–1,600 depending on the car and any work that was required on it. Servicing on this car, I think, came in at £99. So, the fact that you don't need to change the oil. Jaguar charge, I think it's £95 a gallon for or 5 litres for their oil, which is obviously made from unobtainium, but that's before they actually get around to putting it in the engine, which is clearly a labour-intensive job given the dealer's pricing. However, 99 quid, they probably didn't have very much to do. Check that the fluids are up, check the brake pads aren't worn. They're hardly going to be because of the regenerative braking on this car, which I tend to just use all the time now. I very rarely have to use the brakes, except obviously if you happen to stop in a bit of a hurry. So that's all been good. I'm trying desperately here to think of some bad points to say about the car, and I'm honestly struggling. The only things I can think of is the mirror, the door mirrors on the car automatically close when you lock the car, and the passenger side stopped doing that for about 2 weeks, and actually it was just before the car service, and as if by magic, they tell me at the garage that it just started working again when it was in for its service. So we'll take that at face value, I think, at the moment. But it's working again, and it's fine. Fortunately, it did fail when it was out, so it wasn't as if it was closed and didn't move out, so it was still usable during that period of time. It just wouldn't close, and that's really the only thing I can think of. I haven't had any of these mysterious 12-volt battery issues. I haven't had the clicking steering wheel, not that I've been able to notice, and everything else has just worked for me. Again, I'm making this journey today with a car in a very similar mode to what I use on a daily basis, and exactly the same as it was when I did the previous video on the range test on the trip to Dunoon. And you know, the car's loaded, it's got all my tools, a fair bit of equipment in the boot, fantastic boot, great size, and as you can see, sitting on the motorway, only doing 70 miles an hour, honest officer, and it's nipping along here fine. You know, I've said before, if you know, I love driving cars. I don't believe that cars are for, certainly electric cars, I don't believe that they're for sitting tucked in behind the lorry trying to get some kind of tow off the wind flow or the airflow in the back of the lorry. Just get out and drive it. And you know, if you have to stop, you know, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes earlier on a 2-hour journey or something to charge it, so what, you know? One thing that has impressed me over the past year, and not just with the MG, obviously this MG is now, I guess, referred to as the old MG ZS EV, because there's a new one just came out last month in November. It has a longer range, it has I believe fasting or a faster AC charger on board, so it now achieves a range, an advertised range of about 260-270 miles, I believe, and can fully charge on a rapid at within an hour. But technology generally across all manufacturers has come on leaps and bounds, and not only, and that's only 12 months, not only in terms of technology on the cars, but in the charging points as well. Things are improving. There are new chargers coming out every day. There is still quite a range of pricing. There's no sort of common standards in pricing across chargers. In Scotland, whilst many of them were free, a lot of them now you have to pay for, but there are still a lot that are free from the Charge Place Scotland ones, the 7 kilowatt chargers at Tesco's, things like that, which is fantastic. And we're seeing a lot more chargers. We've certainly seen a massive increase in the number of cars, electric cars, that are on the road. It's been quite a year in terms of EVs. So I did go and test the long-range MG5. A friend of mine has one, so I borrowed it for like an hour and took it for a run. And whilst it's very capable on the road, I felt that the batteries, in comparison to the ZS, the batteries in the MG were that much heavier, and therefore you felt like you were dragging the batteries around behind you quite a bit. So I've decided that the MG5 long range isn't for me. I'm not sure about the ZS EV long range. I really don't like the look of it. They've changed the grille at the front, and one of the things I like about this car is that it doesn't necessarily look like an EV. It just looks like an ordinary car. You know, very few differences between this and, say, the petrol version of the ZS. So I think in the meantime I'm probably going to stick with this. It meets all my current requirements. As I said, I use it for work. That allows me to claim, because it's my own car and it's my own business, allows me to claim 45 pence a mile tax free back from the business. And I must do the sums and see how that has worked out over the past year. I would guess probably about 50%, maybe slightly higher, of the mileage I've done in this has been work miles. So not all the 9,500 miles. I need to go back and check on that, just see how much of a return I've had on that. I do have a fast charger at home, so it's a Sita EV charger. There is a video that I've made about that as well, about the installation of that, and it's been fantastic. And to come out every morning to a full tank of energy, if you like, and not have to worry about, will I make it to the filling station this morning, or do I have time to fill up with petrol before I go to my first customer visit in a day. I think that's the biggest difference that I've seen in the past year in driving the EV, and certainly having the home charger has been fantastic for that. I do also have the standard MG granny charger, if you like, the slow charger, which does a great job as well. I see a lot of people unhappy with the granny chargers, them not working, they're cutting out or tripping fuses, all this kind of stuff. I think it has to be said that if you're going to try and run the granny charger, make absolutely sure, or even the standard home charger, which obviously needs to be installed by a competent person, preferably a competent, a qualified electrician. But it's the same with the granny charger. It's not just like a kettle. It's not just like any other device that you plug into, testing the circuit with a fan heater, for instance, isn't the same as plugging in a granny charger. It's going to test before it connects anything. It's going to test resistance to earth. It's going to test exactly what voltage you're getting. Is it 220 volts? Is it maybe 242, 244? I've seen that level, that difference in range on main supplies. So make sure that the circuit that you're using is preferably a dedicated circuit direct from your main switchboard and straight to hopefully external waterproof fully 13 amp socket. So I'm just doing a quick check again on the gasometer here. So I'm getting really good. I'm just going to hit a button here and get back to the main screen. It's gone up from 8 degrees to 9 degrees, which is great. And I'm actually getting at 70 miles an hour. I'm not on cruise control or anything like that, but 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour, which actually for winter is pretty good. Now let's see how accurate that is. It tells me I've done 19 miles, and I think I started off with 141. I'm down at 119, so that's 22 miles. It's taken off for a range of it's 22 miles of range I've lost for a distance of 19.5 miles. So as a guessometer, it's reasonably accurate. You know, it's probably about as close as you would guess if you had a petrol needle sitting there on your normal ICE type cars. So suffice to say, I'm absolutely delighted with this car. It meets all of my needs, and I do appreciate also that EVs might not be for everybody, but in all honesty, if you consider your daily or weekly mileage, your typical daily mileage, I'm not talking about if you wanted to go your holidays to the other end of the country, and then travel around all week and then come home again while towing a caravan, 15 kids and 5 dogs and all the rest of it. But your typical mileage is, less than 100, less than 150 per day, for instance. Then absolutely give EVs some thought. And, contrary to popular belief, EVs don't take 24 hours for a full charge. They're actually great fun to drive. They're very brisk. They're quick off the mark. And I've got no problem with them at all. As I say, I can't fault this car after 1 year of ownership. So, go and try one. So, this is me through in Glasgow now. I've got a quick visit to do here, then I'm going to take a bit of a circuitous route back home again. We'll check on the mileage and the range as we go, see how things are performing, and we'll talk to you soon. Right, well that's that job done, and just heading back now. What I think I'll do is I'm mixing up the driving a bit today because I'm trying to do a similar comparison to the review I did back in June, albeit that I'm not going to the same place, but I'm trying to mix it up so that there's a similar amount or similar proportions of motorway driving and driving through towns. So still in Glasgow at the moment, and looking at the GOM tells me I've done 25 miles. I'm now got a range of 113, so that goes up to 138, which is probably 3 miles below the 141 that was being suggested. 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour it tells me. That's the current journey, and it's taken the accumulated total, so the average, up from 2.6 to 2.7 miles per kilowatt. Again, it's a dry day today, so there's no rain. That helps in things like, and funnily enough, there's no wind either. So lack of wind resistance, no road resistance on the tyres with additional surface water, that kind of thing. And we're getting an okay mileage. I do have obviously the heating on. Not particularly up high or anything. I don't like being too hot when I'm in the car. But I do have the heating on, so that has taken probably a 10% hit on the range. Doing a rough calculation just now at 113 miles. If I turn the heating off, that would increase it by 10%, so that would give me 120 and a bit. Let's see if that's true. 125 it tells me, and then putting it back on, 113. So I was talking earlier about the changes in technology in cars and in chargers, etc., and it really has come on massively, and I think this development is going to continue. Probably for the next 10-20 years, but certainly there's going to be this rapid change in technology, I would guess, over the next 2 to 3 years yet. So the question is, do I go for the new model ZS EV? Do I stick with what I've got? Aesthetically, I don't like the look of the new model. The front grille and things just don't do it for me. The real reason, therefore, to change would be to get the additional range. So, do I actually need the additional range? Most days, probably not. Would it save me any time, therefore, in charging? No, because charging is done overnight when I'm not using the car. So, there's no real benefits that I can see at this moment in time. And I think what is probably worth doing is holding off for probably maybe 6 to 12 months to see what changes, what developments there might be across all the manufacturers before making a decision on. I'm just having a look just now. There's some kind of EV just pulled up behind me. I can't quite make out what it is. It might be one of the new Kias, or Kins as the new logo says. It might be the Mustang. It's a Mustang that looks particularly Ford Mondeo-like. So that's the Mustang just pulled off behind me. What I'd like you to do is let me know your opinion on the look of some of the new electric cars. Certainly on the new model ZS EV, the MG5 as well, the Mustang. What do you think of that? That'd be interesting. I'm sure other people would like to know your thoughts. So leave them in the comments below. Also, give me your opinion on the green flash on number plates that are supposed to be for EVs only. I don't have a green flash on a car. Car didn't come with one. I ain't going to change my number plates just to get a green flash. But I've seen them on hybrids. I've seen them on, I think it was an F-Pace or an E-Pace previously. So they seem to be turning up. The E-Pace, the F-Pace or E-Pace could well have been a hybrid. Couldn't tell from a distance, but it seems quite bizarre that they're turning up in all sorts of cars. I'm keen to know what your thoughts are and what the purpose, what function the green plates have. Now, I've heard a number of explanations for this. I only believe in one of them, and I have a fairly reasoned viewpoint on that. So let me know your thoughts on them. What function they have for EVs. why should we be using them, why should we not be using them, and yeah, I think that will be an interesting read. So in summary, this car, now 1 year old, has been fantastic. It has never let me down. It's never failed to charge overnight. It's never failed to charge when I'm at a public charger. Some of the public chargers have failed, but not the car. So it's been an interesting year, which, you know, I guess started off as an experiment to see whether this petrol head could adapt or adjust to electric. You know, everybody's prepared to knock things without actually trying them, and I'd been looking around for a daily driver for some time. Couldn't really decide what I liked. Tried 2 or 3 vehicles, and then I came across the MG ZS EV, which, as far as EVs go, is a low entry cost. It was going to tick all the boxes that I needed as a daily driver. I mean, comfort-wise, it's lovely. It's really nice. I've just thought of a negative, finally, about this car. And that is that because there is no engine sound, you don't have this perception of either changing up through gears, whether manually or automatically, and you don't have this note, an engine note, to give you a hint of what speed you're actually doing. Unless you keep an eye on the speedometer, it is very easy to find yourself, hands up, I found myself doing 80, 85 momentarily, I should say, simply because the car is so quiet, glides along, and you're not really aware of the speed that you're doing. So there we have it, a 50-mile round trip, and let me see, left on the GOM tells me I've got 86 miles of range left, so adding that up brings me to 136, when I was probably advertised with the heating on at 141. So still not bad, still 2.9 miles per kilowatt, which for temperatures down to 6 degrees, that may also be what's impacting my range. So that's quite interesting. So that's it for this video. Hope you found it useful. If you have, do click like and subscribe. If you haven't, click it anyway, and hopefully we'll be able to see you again soon on Twin Carbs. Bye for now.